Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Li Cai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up on the show today, on behalf of 3/11 disaster victims in Japan, Iwate's former prefecture assembly member, Ms. Yoko Miura, makes a special trip to Taiwan to personally thank Master Zheng Yan for Tzu Chi's rescue and recovery efforts in Japan. We speak to the owner of a candle factory in Taiwan to learn about the challenges of the trade and how his business survived against tough competition in our daily feature on the country's sunset trades. And later, the Tzu Chi Buddha Day ceremony in Singapore wouldn't have been possible without entrepreneurs and medical professionals who gave up their weekends for the rehearsals. Tzu Chi's post-disaster relief missions in Japan after the 3/11 disaster wouldn't have not happened so quickly and smoothly without the help of former Iwate Prefecture Assembly member Ms. Yoko Miura. On Wednesday, Ms. Miura visited Master Zheng Yan in Hualien to thank the Tzu Chi Foundation for its ceaseless efforts to help her country rebuild after last year's triple disaster.
Former Iwate Prefecture Assembly member of Japan, Ms. Yoko Miura, visits Master Zheng Yan in Hualien to personally convey her gratitude for the aid Tzu Chi delivered to Japan from 39 countries after the 3/11 disaster.
After I arrived in Hualien, I have come to understand the selfless love that Tzu Chi delivered to comfort and support those in Japan after the disaster. Such compassion that cannot simply be described by words. I now have a better understanding. Tzu Chi volunteers are truly selfless.
Ms. Miura was an integral part of Tzu Chi's post-3/11 relief missions in the disaster areas. With her help, Tzu Chi's first relief team was able to hold the distribution within just 12 days of the disaster. Ms. Miura also personally helped out at ensuing consolation money distributions.
我也都很感恩，从台湾去的也都是一群群的连接的去，尤其是在日本的，他们在从东京到东北去，也都是很遥远的，不过人总是以这种很诚恳的心啊，总是为爱无所求。 爱的付出，只期待人人能心安，人人呢能身体有所安定。
It just so happened that Tzu Chi University was holding a Buddha Day ceremony during Ms. Miura's visit. The rare opportunity further helped Ms. Miura understand how Tzu Chi volunteers practice Buddhism in action, and that universal love is indeed boundless.
In today's installment of our series, Power of Love, we return to Japan to hear the story of Tzu Chi volunteer Haruo Mochizuki, a Taiwanese immigrant in Japan. As Ms. Mochizuki's husband is ill and is unable to work, the family lives constantly on the edge of poverty. However, Ms. Mochizuki still spends what little free time she has to help out at the Tokyo Tzu Chi office. Hand here in the kitchen of Tokyo's Tzu Chi office. Over the past 7 years, Haruo Mochizuki has come up with recipes for 100 different vegetarian dishes.
We often use maitake mushrooms, which is kind of Japan's version of Taiwan's taro. Every person that has had it says it tastes great.
When she teaches us how to cook vegetarian, she always reminds us to cook with less oil and salt, something similar to the eating 80% full idea that Master Zheng Yan is discussing these days.
It is not like in Taiwan where there are so many different choices of ingredients, but we use their local ingredients the best we can.
Wow, it smells so good. You can even smell it outside.
Knowing her Dharma sisters are visiting, Ms. Mochizuki quickly whips up something to eat.
My husband likes it when we have visitors and tells me I must be courteous. Since we have moved into this new apartment, we haven't had many visitors.
2 months following the earthquake and tsunami of March 11th, Ms. Mochizuki and her family moved into a government housing project in Tokyo.
This is my mom's special hot pot.
5-year-old Seishin has been a vegetarian since he was in his mom's stomach, and Mr. Mochizuki eats vegetarian due to his health condition.
This is where the tubes go in during my dialysis.
Suffering from renal failure and heart condition, Mr. Mochizuki's doctor once said you don't have long to live.
Since your dad can't raise his hands high, so you need to help him.
His conditions is not that good now, as part of his brain has been affected. He often seems to be right on the edge of a stroke, so it is a lot of pressure on both of us.
Ms. Mochizuki also had her fair share of sickness.
As a mother, of course, I hope to raise a healthy family. But how do we go about this? We need to accumulate merit. With Tzu so close, I have a place where I can work on behalf of others to help accumulate merit.
When my wife first started doing Tzu, I was against it. But recently I have found that after she began volunteering, that I have started thinking positively.
Overcoming the obstacles at home and in her body, for the past 2 years, Ms. Mochizuki has been teaching vegetarian cooking at Shinjuku's community center.
Cut it a bit thinner. If you cut it too small, it will be hard for the sauce to stick to it.
As the mothers do their best to follow the instructions, they're slowly changing their meat-based, high-salt diet.
I want to eat more vegetarian, but I can't make the dishes so well yet.
I think these vegetarian dishes will certainly be better for our health.
This group of mothers and grandmothers will go out and spread joy of vegetarian cooking to their family and friends. Although there are many religious denominations here, the joy of vegetarian cooking transcends all that.
With her vegetarian cooking skills, Ms. Mochizuki is overcoming national and religious borders and bringing health and love into the hearts and stomachs of those around her. Male nurses are on the rise. In the Taipei City Hospital in Taiwan, Huang Junchao is the head nurse of the emergency room. He speaks about the pros and cons of being a male nurse in the next report.
Dressed in white as the head nurse of the Taipei City Hospital's emergency room, Huang Junchao is responsible for coordination and management of the emergency room. However, he is often mistaken as a doctor because he's male and dressed in white uniform.
When I'm working, patients often mistake me as a doctor. Although I keep explaining, they still ask me to prescribe medicine for them.
Once a female patient just gone through labor refused his care because he's a male nurse. But Huang eventually persuaded the patient with his expertise and completed his assignment.
It requires professional training. There is no gender difference when taking care of patients. You should convince the patient to trust your expertise over gender differences. My patients learn to trust me, which gives me more confidence in what I do.
Huang takes care of patients with his years of experiences. With his care and understanding, the head nurse serves his patients with tenderness, though different from female nurses.
I'm sorry, we need to ask you to wait a few more days.
His patients are calm and stabilized after he treats them in the ER.
When he speaks, I feel more relaxed. He speaks softly yet firmly, making me feel secured. He's no different to any female nurse when he does his job.
Ever since Huang started working as an ER nurse, he never left the position for the past decade. For him, it is a busy job, but he finds passion for life through it. He hopes that he can provide more help to patients as a male nurse in the emergency room.
In the olden days, before the invention of electricity, candles were the main source of lighting at night. Over time, candles have grown out of their practical uses to become decorations, emergency lighting, and even an ambience enhancer. In our featured series on Taiwan's weird and wonderful trades, today we look at a candle-making factory in Miaoli that has time and again survived competition from home and abroad. Rather than relocating its business to China to cut down on costs, factory owner Chen Guosheng insisted on staying in Taiwan and found new opportunities for his business by turning his plant into a tourist attraction. On the production line, liquid wax is poured into molds that solidifies into candles after 45 minutes on the conveyor belt before being sent to be cooled.
If the wax is moist, then you will burn like a firecracker. If it is dry, then you will burn well.
The cooled candles are then electroplated for a dramatic, shiny look. At first, Chen's plated candles sold like hotcakes, but it only took a few years for cheap Chinese imports to dilute the market.
I love Taiwan and my roots are here, so I've never considered relocating my business to China.
Chen says his 30-year-old candle business faced stiff overseas competition from the very beginning. These lifelike candle dolls were once Chen's bestsellers for export. He personally crafted the face and the eyes of each doll.
The eyes of baby dolls have to be deeper than girl dolls.
Years of intricate handiwork have helped nurture his patience and good temper.
I'm more patient now and I pay more attention to detail. I'm not as crabby as I used to be.
In the spirit of an indomitable candle maker, Chen Guosheng overcame all the challenges to his business one by one. He also turned his candle factory into a tourist attraction where visitors can make their own candles.
You can draw on candles and make them look very pretty. I love it.
A warm and serene sight to behold, these flickering candles in all shapes and sizes are Chen Guosheng's all-time pride. Chen Guosheng's candle plant in fact started out as a glass factory that took a completely different turn after clients requested that he put candles into glass containers some 30 years ago. Over the years, Chen's business bobbed up and down against the competition, but he persevered and always found a way to overcome his challenges. The self-made 67-year-old has an unconquerable spirit that he hopes to pass on to his son to keep their family business alive.
I was one who came up with the first bottle gourd-shaped candle for temples.
The inventor himself talks about how he got into the candle-making business.
My client from overseas told me to put candles into the glass containers, so I took his advice.
Originally running a glass-making factory, Chen started producing candles after a request by an overseas client more than 30 years ago. With increasingly more orders for his candles, Chen decided to focus entirely on candle manufacturing, which in the beginning proved to be quite challenging.
There were fierce price cuts at the expense of quality. I didn't want to compete like that, so I went on innovating other types of candles.
Time and again, Chen has kept his business afloat by innovating candles of various designs. He even turned his factory into a tourist attraction. Now, Chen's son is picking up his mantle.
Pour into the mold slowly, don't rush.
Chen Guosheng's son, Chen Mingzhi, originally wanted to go into the electronics industry.
If I did electronics, I could plan my own life. Taking over the family business means that I have to be responsible for everything, good and bad.
It took a lot of persuasion to get Chen Mingzhi to agree to help out with the family business. His father wants him to learn not only about the trade, but also a set of values that have been inspired by the craft of candle making.
I hope my son can persevere like me and light up other people's lives like a candle.
Dedicating decades of his life to shining lights throughout the world, Chen is passing on his legacy from wick to wick. Last year, Guatemala was hit by severe flooding after days of heavy rain. To help the victims, volunteers held several relief distributions, which touched the hearts of many. Recently, on Buddha Day, local residents showed up at Tzu Chi celebrations to pray for a world without disasters.
Under the guidance of Tzu Chi volunteers, children come to understand the meaning behind the Buddha Day ceremony. To celebrate Buddha Day, along with local residents and overseas Chinese, Taiwan's ambassador to Guatemala, Sun Da-cheng, is also present.
This is my 4th year attending the Buddha Day ceremony. Every year, I see more people attending the event. This means Tzu Chi volunteers have been doing a lot of good work, and everyone is touched by them.
Tzu Chi's flood relief in Guatemala last year brought volunteers and local residents closer together. In today's ceremony, everyone joins together to embrace Buddha's grace in harmony and peace.
The Tzu Chi Buddha Day ceremony in Singapore saw nearly 10,000 people. 1,700 volunteers came together to present various Buddhist patterns and group formations. Some of these performers were medical personnel or entrepreneurs who took time out from their tight schedules to help spread the positive message behind Buddha Day.
I first needed to reach an understanding with my boss and my fellow co-workers to win their approval and understanding.
It was a bit of a challenge, but I think it was a test of my faith.
82 members of Singapore's Timor chapter set aside time from their busy schedule to perform at the annual Tzu Chi Buddha Day ceremony. It would not have been possible without the support of their colleagues and families. For the newly joined Chinese medicine doctor, Lin Xiaoyi, this is an event she has been looking forward to.
I have really been looking forward to this event. Turning back my head just now, I see so many people clad in the blue and white uniforms. I think Master Zheng Yan is truly incredible. To be able to follow in the Master's footsteps in this life will not be in vain. I've also made a tiny wish. I hope that starting from this year, I'll have the chance to participate in the ceremony every year.
Thanks to the constant text messaging and after numerous phone calls, Shen Xizhou successfully invited 160 entrepreneurs, managers, officers, and staff from various businesses to participate in this year's Buddha Day ceremony.
Sometimes to enlist someone, I have to call them personally because text messaging can be so impersonal. Or I may even visit them at home and bring them their shirt. I think to empower someone is truly not easy, especially when you are introducing such positive messages to them. This is why we have to cherish events like this ceremony.
To these business people, time is money. To the medical personnel, time means life or death. Yet they all know well that spiritual cultivation is just as, if not more important.
This year's Mother's Day is a special one for Tzu Chi volunteer Xu Shuyun, who was diagnosed with breast cancer last year while she was taking part in the musical rendition of the Water Repentance Sutra. After receiving chemotherapy, Xu made a full recovery and was able to attend the recent Buddha Day ceremony.
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
Here, Tzuji's Buddha Day rehearsal. Despite suffering from cancer and going through chemotherapy last year, Xu Suyun is practicing along with the rest of her fellow volunteers.
To be able to participate in a ceremony is a blessing, and I hope through offering respect to the Buddha that I can recover from my illness and that the world will be free from disasters.
Having to fight for her life, she now cherishes every given opportunity and is also grateful that her relationship with her daughter has improved.
My daughter will share with her classmates how I fought against cancer, so we have become closer. She happily agreed to take part in the Buddha Day when I invited her. I'm really happy.
Xu Suyun not only faced her illness with courage, but has come to learn the importance of a healthy diet, which she shares with one of her members who also has cancer.
We both share the same fate, and through talking with each other, I feel that she can understand and sympathize with me. She encourages me to be brave and stand up to face my illness.
This year's Buddha Day and Mother's Day is a special one for Xu Suyun, who has been given a second chance at life.
At the Tzu Buddha Day ceremony in Suzhou, China, volunteer Zhang Tao braved the recent loss of her beloved husband to join the celebrations. In the past, the couple used to volunteer happily together. Now, though her husband is no longer around, Zhang knows that he is with her in spirit as she continues to serve Tzu.
Zhang Tao and her husband Chen Maoliang were inseparable. They joined Tzu together and even became certified in 2009. Sadly, in March of this year, Chen passed away due to heart attack. At her husband's memorial service, Zhang Tao and all the volunteers are in tears. To make sure Zhang Tao is okay, Wuxi Tzu volunteers visit her daily.
If it weren't for Tzu, I wouldn't know how to move on with my life.
The words from Master Zhen Yan helped Zhang Tao to let go.
The master told me that he took an early leave and that I must let go and not worry about my husband, or else he won't go peacefully. She also said that he's in a better place now.
Still morning, Zhang shows up at Buddha Day ceremony. She carries with her both her and her husband's Tzu commissioner's identification cards.
Tzu volunteers have been giving me so much love. I believe my husband felt it too.
Despite the loss of her husband, Zhang Tao vows to carry on Tzu's mission.
I'm a Tzu volunteer, so I need to be a role model for others.
For avid bike riders in Taiwan looking to make a round-island trip on 2 wheels in a leisurely way, Taiwan Railways Administration offers a special one-week package that allows travelers to get from one place to the next via train and bike rides, alternatively on a designated route. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.